Alright, what's up with it, y'all? So look, man, I'm back again with another video right now. Listen, this situation right here is crazy as hell, and I'm glad that they did catch it when they did catch it, because this situation could have turned into one of those situations like the other young lady who had the kids in the house for years on end without her being there, and had to fend for themselves and things like that. But basically this situation right here, it took place in Wisconsin. I can't, now y'all already know they're not really a real mother and father to do their children like this, but I just gotta say that because that way it'll be easier for me to narrate. But basically, the mother and the father left 6 children in a storage unit. You know, where you put your clothes and shoes and everything and stuff like that in when you're moving or whatever the case may be. These 6 children were in there. They had even a 2-month-old baby inside of there as well. Okay, so look, the ages of the children were 9, 7, 5, 3, 2, and 2 months old. So basically they were in there living by themselves. They only had one shred of light. Yes, you heard what I said, a shred of light. The only light that they could see is when the garage doesn't hit the ground all the way. You feel me? But basically, they were living in there with no food. They didn't have anything to basically, take showers with. Like, they were just in there all alone, right? So basically this been going on for 2 months, and I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but this took place in Wisconsin, right? So basically the kids were in there for 2 months, and the way that they did get caught was the 2-month-old started crying. And what's so crazy about the whole situation is they funky ass was outside sitting in the car with a dog. So the dog in there getting AC. I'm pretty sure that the unit they were in was climate controlled, but still, y'all get where I'm coming from. The dog got more love than they did in this situation, and that just tore me up, man. But I mentioned that dog for a reason also as well too. But basically, they were in the vehicle for this amount of time, you know what I'm saying, sleeping in there while the kids slept in a storage container with no food or nothing like that. What's so crazy about that, they even were receiving 2,000, I think, in food stamps. So for them to only get chips and milk to live off of is crazy to me. So basically the judge that I do have in this video, she's going to be at the end. It's the court hearing where they basically, give her bond or whatever the case may be. She wasn't having none of that BS. But I think the thing the most that really, really just stuck out was she let it be known that she knew it was the father that was contributing to a lot of the BS, right? So one of the kids, the oldest, I think, he was telling them what was going on. He said that the father did so much to him one day that he felt like he needed to go to the hospital. They said that they did not know how to maneuver in an emergency or anything like that. So, and I'm only mentioning that dog because it's crazy how some people out there, and I got to keep it real, I got to call an ace and a spade. Some dudes, I can't call them men or nothing like that. Some of these dudes out here would treat their damn dog better than they treat their children. And it's just so sad to even like put that into a sentence, you know what I'm saying? And I used to, look at it like these females just be saying that shit, but I be seeing that for my damn self, and it's sad and it's unfortunate, bro. And there's mothers out there too. They do the same thing with their animals, or a dude. They'll put a dude before anything, which is crazy to me as well too, but we're gonna stick to the subject at hand. So basically, the judge did let her get a $5,000 cash bond. The kids let it be known that they get high, they drink and everything in front of them. But, the judge was basically stating that the father, she knew it wasn't the mother that was contributing to everything. It was really the father, but she is just as bad as him. She gets no sympathy. Let's get into these 2 little videos I did find about it, basically just summarizing what I said and giving more information that I didn't give. And I'm going to let y'all watch the full court hearing. But to get a $5,000 bond is crazy to me, but I feel like she felt that they didn't have no help as far as paying. But they did say that they did have help with somewhere to stay. That's crazy, ain't it? An oxymoron. Hey, it is what it is. Let's get into the videos, though.
Mother Asia Zelinsky appearing in court, incredibly emotional, crying, and father Charles DePriest also in court. The couple facing multiple felonies, including child neglect. In the criminal complaint, photos of where the 6 children, including a baby just 2 months old, were living. A twin mattress without any bed sheets and a beat-up sofa. Investigators also photographed a bucket they say was used as a toilet by the children. the only light from the crack of the garage door. Investigators found the parents sleeping in a Ford Expedition in the parking lot with their dog. One of the children told police she was upset the dog got to sleep in the car while she and her siblings slept in the unit.
The middle row was completely empty, and the dog had the back row all to himself as these children slept in a locked storage container with one twin mattress on the floor. This is horrific. Ma'am, I see you were broken up. I hope you realize how lucky you actually are that none of these children have died.
Investigators say the family was receiving assistance, food stamps, and $2,000 a month in Social Security benefits. The mom told investigators they had been kicked out of Joy House, which is a shelter for women and children. And the Milwaukee Rescue Mission did confirm they were giving that family assistance, but said they had verified they had permanent housing before they left the shelter in July. Now, both of those parents remain in jail tonight. In Milwaukee, Kendall Keys, WIS.
6 children found padlocked inside a storage unit in Milwaukee.
Yeah, this is a heartbreaking reality. The new images behind us really showing those conditions. Investigate.
Like I said, I left information out to watching the video. Padlocked. There was no way they can get out of there from the inside, especially being at these type of ages that they are, hell. But to be in there like that, and if any emergency happens at any point, they can't do nothing about it. It's crazy, especially with a 2-month-old being in that damn room. That's some lame, weirdo ass shit. He can be doing something to her to make her scared, but at the same time, a real mama bear gonna handle whatever come with it to make sure that these kids are okay. I don't give a damn. I'm not here to argue with you or nobody else about that who want to stand up for her. I feel like you should be able to get in there and do what you need to do to make sure that these kids are okay. And even if you got to call the laws on him or do whatever you got to do, as long as they are safe, they should be the top priority. But obviously, the dog had more love than the damn kids. Let's get back into it. This shit crazy.
There's described them as for within the hour. The mother and father now charged, appearing in court. They're identified as Charles DePriest and Asia Zelinsky. Now, 12 News, Kendall Keys live at the Milwaukee County Courthouse.
All right, Kendall, very alarming details here. The mother told investigators the children had been living inside the storage unit for a month and a half. No electricity, no running water.
Right, Deanna, someone heard the couple's infant crying inside the storage unit and called 911. That's when police and firefighters broke the padlock and found the 6 children living in deplorable conditions. Now, they're in the care of Child Protective Services and their parents are in jail. StoreSafe Self-Storage at 27th and Silver Spring offers secured units for people to store belongings, furniture, cars, equipment. But in the early morning hours Tuesday, someone heard a baby cry from inside a unit and called 911.
Police are on scene requesting a forced entry. They believe a baby is locked in one of the storage lockers.
12 News there as Milwaukee police and firefighters entered the unit. Inside, 6 kids, the youngest 2 months old and the oldest just 9. Officers say the children appeared to be asleep. The 5-year-old telling a detective, "We're not supposed to be loud." Photos from inside show the cramped quarters, a twin mattress and a beat-up sofa. Investigators also photographed a bucket used as a toilet. Detectives describing the smell in the unit as so putrid they could not remain inside even with the garage door open.
The only light these poor children had to have was the crack of light that came through the bottom of the garage. We have your children stating that they had no food, that the only food they found was from the garbage.
The criminal complaint charges parents, Charles DePriest and Asia Zelinsky, with multiple counts of child neglect.
Ma'am, do you understand those charges and the potential maximum penalties?
She knows.
Investigators found the parents sleeping in a Ford Expedition in the parking lot with their dog. One of the children told police she was upset the dog got to sleep in the car while she and her siblings slept in the unit.
Listen
The
to
middle
that.
row was completely empty, and the dog had the back row all to himself as these children slept in a locked storage container with one twin mattress on the floor.
The 9-year-old, tasked with taking care of his siblings, telling police he would not know how to get out in an emergency.
This is Ma'am, I see you were broken up. I hope you realize how lucky you actually are that none of these children have died.
Full of
Kendall,
shit.
this is a story that's really just hard to wrap your mind around. Investigators say the family was receiving assistance.
All right, Deanna, food stamps and $2,000 a month in Social Security benefits. Mom told investigators the family had gotten kicked out of Joy House, which is a shelter for women and children. And the Milwaukee Rescue Mission did confirm they were giving the family assistance in July, but said they verified the family had permanent housing before they left the shelter. Now, both parents remain in jail tonight.
All right, still
Okay.
a lot of questions left to be answered. Kendall Keys, live in Milwaukee.
All right, so with that being said, they were receiving $2,000 a month, right? They could have found a spot for $1,000 a month and lived comfortably, at least to some, some type of, how can I put this shit? Comfortability, right? They could have been okay in some type of way, even if it was $1,500, because the cost of living is higher than it normally would be. And also, with that being said, they got food stamps for 6 kids. You're at least getting 8 to 1,000, probably a little bit more than that here, just depending on what's going on in your situation. And his funky ass could have got up out of the house and went to work and made some type of money. And now I know it's easier said than done for some people in certain cases, but man, you can go literally do anything to make at least $100 to $150 a month to help out with the bills and utilities and shit like that. But ultimately, I ain't got no sympathy for him, especially, and really none for her either, because you allowed the shit. You just as bad as what you allow, in my personal opinion, in most cases. But hey, look, I'm gonna let y'all watch this court hearing, and we're gonna talk about this in the comment section. I'm gonna be looking for y'all, so we're gonna be chopping it up. I can't talk to everybody, but we're gonna talk as much as I can talk. But I want to know y'all thoughts and opinions, and I hope that they can get the maximum sentence for whatever they got going on, because it's obvious that they had these kids jealous that they got to sleep in a goddamn box and the kids get to, and the damn dog get to sleep in a car. That's crazy. To even be jealous about that is just mind blowing. But hey, let me know your thoughts and opinions on that, and we're gonna talk about everything. And when I say it's mind blowing, it's just the simple fact that you put them in a position to have to even think like that. You know what I'm saying? But look, we're gonna talk in the comments. I'll holler at y'all later. All right.
Live in Milwaukee.
State of Wisconsin versus Leo Zelensky. Case number 25CF4372. Counts 8 through 11, neglecting a child, no harm, and child is less than 6 years old or disability. Counts 12 and 13, neglecting a child, specified harm did not occur. This is an initial appearance. Case is assigned to Judge Burial Schroeder in Branch 13. Appearances, please. Recording project for the state.
Asia Zelensky by Bateman Esek Hernandez. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Your Honor, I went through the criminal complaint with Ms. Zelensky, including the allegations against her and the maximum possible penalties. Ms. Zelensky explained to me that she does understand both of those things. The defense is entering a not guilty pleas as to the misdemeanors in this case, which are counts 12 and 13. Ms. Zelensky does qualify for a public defender.
All right, Ms. Zelensky, you are charged with counts 8, 9, 10, and 11, which is neglecting a child, specified harm did not occur, and children under 6 years of age. Each one of those counts is a Class I felony, and each count has a maximum penalty of a fine of not more than $10,000 or imprisonment of not more than 3 years and 6 months or both. As to counts 12 and 13, you are charged with a child, specified harm did not occur. Each one of those counts is a Class A misdemeanor, and each count has a maximum penalty of a fine of not more than $10,000 or imprisonment of not more than 9 months or both. Ma'am, do you understand those charges and the potential maximum penalties?
Yes, ma'am.
I've read the criminal complaint and I find that it does establish probable cause. Ma'am, you have the right to have an attorney represent you. One from the public defender's office will be appointed to do so. In a moment, we'll get you a date for your preliminary hearing and we will enter not guilty as to counts 12 and 13, then state as to bond.
Thank you. State would request a $1,000 PR bond along with the conditions of absolute sobriety and a C-pound no contact order with the children. I think the facts of this case as alleged in the complaint are extremely concerning. Officers responded to a call at a storage unit. They found 6 children inside, the youngest being 2 months. They did not have food, they barely had any light, and they were provided with a bucket to use the restroom in. Just extremely concerning conduct. However, given that Ms. Zelinsky was cooperative with officers, she did admit to having the children stay in the storage container. She does not have any prior convictions. I think given the fact that the children are already in CPS custody, obviously there are extremely high victim safety concerns here, but since the children are in CPS custody, I believe that a CPOW no contact order is sufficient to address that concern. And given that Ms. Zelinsky has no prior convictions and was cooperative with police, I think a higher PR bond would be appropriate to ensure her appearance in court moving forward.
State, did I hear you correctly? Did you say $1,000 PR bond?
That's correct.
And is that coming from you or the charging DA?
It is from the charging DA.
All right.
Your Honor,
Defense.
defense has no objection to a $1,000 PR bond.
All right. Well, I have a big objection to it. We are talking about a case where there are 6 children that are left in a storage locker for months, trapped, locked in a storage locker where there is no light, that the only light these poor children had to have was the crack of light that came through the bottom of the garage. We have your children stating that they had no food, that the only food they found was from the garbage. They didn't have a bathroom. They used a bucket, that they were subjected to what they said was. At one time, one of your eldest child said the was so bad, and I know that was not you, ma'am, that was their father, that the was so bad, he thought he needed to go to the hospital and have surgery. That he often had to deal with mom and dad who were intoxicated and high. And what's more disturbing than all of that are the statements that both you and father had made, that you and the children could have stayed with family members. That is the statements that were made in a Mirandized interview. And what's even more disturbing than that is that when you and father, your co-defendant, was arrested, you were arrested in a car that had 3 rows of seats, that the middle row was completely empty, and the dog had the back row all to himself, as these children slept in a locked storage container with 1 twin mattress on the floor, with milk. That was their source of food, a thing of milk and a couple Fritos, a couple bags of chips to survive. This is horrific. Ma'am, I see you are broken up. I hope you realize how lucky you actually are that none of these children have, because you would be facing significantly more time, if not the rest of your life in time. And these poor children, your poor children who come to mom and dad for support, who need you, you are supposed to protect them. And these children are going to now have lifelong scars that will affect every aspect of their life. And a PR bond, this court has a duty to protect these children and to protect this type of mentality, to think that this is okay, this cannot go on. No, I am setting cash bail.
Yeah.
I believe cash bail is absolutely necessary to protect these children, to protect the community in this case.
Your Honor, if the court is going to set cash bail, then the defense would like to be heard for a moment.
You certainly can.
Your Honor, in this case, the charging DA asked for a PR bond. The PSA recommended a PR bond. Ms. Zelinsky has no criminal history. Additionally, Your Honor, this is not a charge that under Wisconsin law is considered a violent offense, and therefore the only thing that can be considered by this court is whether Ms. Zielinski will show up to court. That's very clear under Wisconsin law. Given all those things and the fact that there will be a no contact order in place, I spoke with Ms. Zielinski at length about that no contact order. She knows she cannot contact her kids in any way or have anybody else contact them. She knows that if she does, there would be more consequences. For all of those reasons and the joint recommendation, the defense absolutely believes that this court should impose a PR bond. Thank you.
So counsel, I will say you're right on one thing, and that is the use of the word recommendation. The state recommends, the defense recommends, the PSA is a tool that recommends. And oftentimes the PSA doesn't quite have the information that I have in front of me, or they don't quite understand actually what are the language or the amendment of our Constitution says. It doesn't say if someone is charged with a violent offense. It says if the facts and circumstances allege violent behavior. I'm reading this criminal complaint, and I have statements from a 9-year-old who said that he had been whooped, and all of the children except the baby have been multiple times, to the point where the one child had a lip and was bleeding. If that doesn't scream violence to you, I don't know what does. So I am going to set cash bail in the amount of, we have $5,000, which is extremely low considering what's going on here. The PSA is calling for a level 1. No, I think there needs to be much more intervention here. I will set it at a level 3. I am going to order absolute sobriety, breathalyzer testing, drug testing, no possession or use of any controlled substance without a prescription. None of that was even addressed in the PSA, which is why I say I don't put a lot of weight on it. We have statements from your children saying that mom and dad are oftentimes drunk and high, and they see them smoking weed. No possession of firearms or dangerous weapons. I will sign the CPOW no contact order. That contact with the children can only be at the discretion of CPS. And we will get you new court date. Yeah.
Any officers or sheriffs?